begin. Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhe Bhavatu Me Sada Vasudevam Satam Devam Kamsachano Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagatgurum. Krishnam Vande Jagatgurum. Hari Om. Yes, can someone recollect what is it that we saw last? So we can take it ahead. Yes, please.
As far as I remember, there was one question from Dr. Nirodbaran about this
Hmm.
divinity thing.
Okay.
I think that's where he had stopped, I guess.
What
That
was that thing? Yes.
Yeah, so Dr. Nirodharan had said that in one patient's case, he felt that this was divinity's intervention, specifically
Hmm.
from Sri Aurobindo. He felt the
Yeah.
presence and it was his guiding force. And then he was but I think that the person opposite did not
Yeah.
agree or
Hmm.
something. And then Dr. Nirodharan is asking the same thing to Sri Aurobindo, like what is this, is this divinity or like whatever interventions happen, is it random, is it impulsive, how does it take place and stuff. So
Yeah.
this what we
One
were
thing.
discussing.
Yes. Yes. One thing we did see was that Dr. Nirodharan didn't have doubts, isn't it? There was no
Yes.
shaking in his Shraddha. The skeptic
No,
was
no,
some
he
other
was
sadhak.
confirmed.
He
Yes,
just
he
said, "I
was
don't know
confirmed.
how to answer."
Yep.
Yeah. So he was not able to answer or counter. I think many times we get this kind of questions, isn't it? Suddenly, why are you doing sadhana? Why are you following this particular aradhya? Or why are you, this guru is not good, he's having less social media presence, or whatever XYZ factors they have for the, what we can say, weightage of that. These kind of questions do come. And then we feel we have to answer. But do we have to answer such questions? That is my question. Yes.
प्रत्यक्ष को परोक्ष की आवश्यकता नहीं होती. Like this
Ah,
is
oh,
one
beautiful.
lokokti that we have heard, like at least I have
Ji.
like हाथ कंगन को आरसी किया. So if I'm feeling it within, why do I have to
Hmm.
prove others? And
Yeah,
even you
yeah.
had once told me that
Okay.
like if I'm feeling something, I don't have to
Hmm.
prove others like what I like. For example, if a kid got a chocolate, he got excited or she got excited and jumping around and whole and the like chocolate is gone. They cannot enjoy it
Yeah.
at that moment. So
So there's no point in
if
getting flustered or
no,
disturbed.
no, 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 no. Like na buddhi bhedam. We saw that in
Ah,
Bhagavad Gita as well. So like
so no buddhi
काम
ved
कर
in
रहे हो
another
निकलो.
person. No need to try to show the way for somebody else or create any
Nope.
ved in our head also because this person
Yep.
told. Because our Shraddha Sthan should be protected. So somewhere because Sri Aurobindo has given this freedom, Dr. Nirodbaran also wants to grow and he wants to hear. So he is passing it on to Sri Aurobindo and Sri Aurobindo is responding to those questions. If you see, something was very interestingly, he touched about the higher mind and overmind. That can you recollect, Juhiji or Chitraji? Today we have Anirudhji also. He's a sadhak and follower of Sri Aurobindo. I happened to meet recently, so he's joining us from today.
Hello, namaste.
Namaste,
Okay.
namaste ji.
Thank you for having me.
No,
I
no,
mean, I
thank you, sir.
happen to, and
Ji, ji,
I mean,
thank you.
you're very, very
Most welcome.
graceful for
No,
this
sir, thank you.
opportunity.
Thank you, sir. So, yes, yes, can someone recollect? Chitraji, do you recollect something about the higher mind, overmind, which was mentioned?
Yes, it was mainly for telling about the force, and the effectiveness of this force depends on from where it's coming. About this yogic force, and which is nothing but the special force arising from the spiritual progress and or the consciousness. And we saw that the effectiveness depends from where it's arising from these planes.
The plane of inspiration makes a difference. The quality of what we receive or the quality of inspiration depends on the source. It also depends on the instrument. It depends on how it is channeled, the channeling of that. In poetry, Sri Aurobindo would read poetry of sadhaks and say this is an over mental inspiration, this particular line. this particular line, like fire and ice coming together or something like that, the imagery and this aspect was not just logical. Mind has logic, isn't it? Mind has limitations of logic. What is supra-logical or supra-rational cannot be understood by the mind. And that is where we need to rise beyond the mind. And Sri Aurobindo has kept so many levels. I tried to study the works of Sri Aurobindo and write down all of these levels. I wrote it nicely for 80 pages or something. I don't remember the number of pages also now. And then I did one very wise thing. I pressed the delete button because these are not levels, which is like level 1. Now I've gone to level 2, next 3, over mind, next higher mind, intuitive mind. Actually, it is like the first is the higher mind from our lower mind status. I think we have seen in Gita also, Atmaiva Bandhuratmana, Atmaiva Ripuratmana. When the mind is so lower and is not able to identify divinity, it is in a state of what we can say lower consciousness. So a person will berate, belittle everything about oneself and say there's no divinity at all. But at least the higher mind will know, okay, now I don't have to yield to these lower forces, Kama, Krodha, Mada, Moha, Matsar, all of these aspects. They are pulling me away. I don't need to get carried away by them. He can understand. He doesn't have to explain or justify why this is not, because from the inside this person understands that is sakshatkar, that is realization. So realization comes. It comes as a trickle. Some people receive it as a flow, and sometimes they are the sroth also. That is a difference. So how is this possible? It is when the connection is there. Or if we have seen in the Isha Upanishad, Kavir, Manishi, Paribhu, and Swayambhu. Swayambhu is that state where they are the source of that. So they have connected. The yogis who could connect would receive directly. So that's what Sri Aurobindo talked about. Effectiveness is like that. And says if you just look at the last two words, and we'll continue with the next question. The last words I'll just read out. It says, and it is neither a magician's wand nor a child's bauble, but something one has to observe, understand, develop, master before one can use it all right. Or else, for few can use it except in a limited manner, be its instrument. This is only a preface. Johi ji's quote, हाथ कंगन को क्यों आरसी? What is the use of the mirror? It is something like that. Let's continue now. Nirodbaran, yes. I am simply dying to show your divine verse to D. Heaven's sake, I can't take seriously. You don't mean it either. But I am no believer in heaven, so you will excuse me. No one in our group will think Dara's influence is acting on you. This is in relation to the joke that Sri Aurobindo had cracked. Dara was a sadhak who was known to write very comical poems. And Sri Aurobindo said it will, if you see the word, it was in February 5th correspondence where it said that, but for heaven's sake, don't show this undivine outgrowth to anybody. They will think I'm trying to drivel Dara in his lighter poetic moods. So it was about him. So anyway, this is a light-hearted question. No one in our group will think Dara's influence is acting on you. So don't worry is what the Shishya is telling the master. Sri Aurobindo says, well, under careful limitations and in all confidentiality, you may risk the indiscretion. So he says, Acha, theek hai. I told you not to show, you still want to show. Theek hai. All right, but with some limitations, keeping it confidential. Because what is the reason? Everybody doesn't understand the truth, isn't it? So somebody will say some statement, and then that statement is then misinterpreted. Then it goes in a different direction. That's why Sri Aurobindo's problem asked him to maintain some amount of confidentiality. So let's continue. Nirodbaran says, your yesterday's letter has given us quite a new and interesting point to think about. Our idea was that the divine is always omnipotent, independent of all conditions, and not limited by the particular plane from which he acts. But you give so many clauses under which the force can operate successfully. K then seems to be right when he says that if one has not got a particular possibility in him, the divine cannot make him develop in that direction. Pushing this a little further, I would say that one must have a talent or capacity as a nucleus in him for the spiritual development he is going to have later. One must have it. The divine cannot make anything out of shunyam or void. Now, this is what the. One second, I'll just. One second, I'll just. Umaji, if I can mute you. If you'll be able to press the mute button, I'm unable to in my phone at the moment. Or I think I figured it out. Yeah, I'll just mute. Yeah, so this question that something must be there. He says, all right, now they are dependent. There's a plane on conscious. Otherwise, what people think, if I connect with the divine's energy is going to flow through me. I am going to start levitating. All my problems will go chumantar. Immediately, all the other worries, everything, divine should make it happen. But now, if divine is also having conditions, the Shishyas are like, you too, Brutus, what is this? How is this going to happen? He says, no, then that means everybody must have talent. If that talent is not there, then the divine is incapable. The omnipresent, omniscient, all powerful, almighty is not so mighty that it can manifest something out of void. This is what the logic is. Anybody? This question about having some talent initially, without which nothing can be done. Is that true? What is this? Before we look at Sri Aurobindo's answer?
Like for me, it looks more, or it looks like it's an indication towards surrender. So if we have not surrendered to the divinity, कुछ भी नहीं होना है. Like so.
But okay, if we surrender with sincerity, even if we don't have talent, something can manifest, isn't it? By the
Yes,
sincerity of surrender.
Because I guess so.
Okay, because you guess. All right, it's a guess. Okay, Krishna has told Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam. We have so many examples of people. For me personally, this was full barren land, and afterwards, Damleji's guidance helped transform. I started writing poetry for the first time after class 6, after I got connected with my teacher. Otherwise, I would never have been able to write. Same way we have heard of Giri becoming Totakacharya. Means how has Giri transformed? Well, that was Guru's Kripa. Guru Pungava Pungava Ketanate goes on, creating in the most difficult meter that is later on gets the name as Totakacharya for composing Totakashtakam. Yes, Johiji, you want to add something?
No, but there is one thing, like people like have same groups or something, right? Like people of same something.
Birds of a feather flock together.
Yes.
Birds of a feather.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So the thing is, if the person doesn't has the affinity towards the god or whatever, like even the Giri become Totkacharya because of his guru, but he knew where to find the guru and stick to him. That's the thing, right? That is also sort of a talent, I would say.
That is a talent. We're saying that is a talent, but we have heard of Mukam Karoti Vachalam, Pangum Langhayate Girim, Yat Krupatamam Vande Paramanand Madhavam. Mukam Karoti Vachalam. The dumb begins to speak eloquently. Like me taking Gita class. Guru's Krupa. Otherwise, I was not worthy of being inside of a Gita class, because I remember when I joined, I was so having what we can say restlessness that even memorization of Gita slokas, Damlesh only said, not now. Doesn't look like he's having any concentration. So it is the Krupa. Krupa makes everything possible. But here, they want Krupa without any liability. They want guarantee. When Krishna is saying Yoga Kshemam Vahamyam, they want a insurance policy signed with what returns we are going to get. But that can happen in an insurance policy, in a health insurance. They tried to use the same shloka, Yoga Kshemam Vahamyam, as their motto. But the meaning of Yoga Kshemam Vahamyam is when you surrender without expecting of what returns you are going to get. When my policy matures, in life policy, in life it's complete, what am I going to get? Well, it's nothing about that. It does not, when surrenders, this question does not come. But so somewhere surrender is not complete. That is why we get these worries. Somewhere we are not completely, in our surrender, that we have doubts. What's going to happen? Who knows what's going to happen? Can I guarantee I'm going to live for 10 more days? Anybody? Can you give me guarantee I will live for 10 more days? All our well wishers, all our friends. Can you give me that guarantee? Yes, anybody? No, isn't it? We do not know. Why 10 more days, 10 more seconds also? I don't know what's going to happen 10 seconds later. It is the Aradhya's wish or the Ishta or the Deva's wish. What is going to be my Daiva or fate? Whatever that is. But when surrender is there, you're not going to worry for 10 days, 10 seconds, 10 minutes, 10 years, or 10 decades, whatever life a person has. It doesn't matter when the surrender is there. So here they're saying, no, looks like, see, the source has to come. The source has to be a fine source, maybe higher mind or over mind. Then only it will be perfect. No, that means God is power is having limitations. This is not right. So God also is limited. God cannot manifest anything from Shunya. Sri Aurobindo's reply, let us see. Sri Aurobindo says, what is Shunyam? It is out of the silence that all things originated. All is contained in what you call Shunyam. Beautiful answer, isn't it? Ekoham bahusyami, the Mahavakya. I am one, let me become many. From the, what we can say, inertial stillness of ethereal bliss, timeless vibrations escape bodiless lips. That is how the beginning or Genesis can be described. And then all different formations took place. So out of nothing, according to what we call nothing, because what we may look at Shunyam and feel it's nothing, miss to someone else look like it's Purnam. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Dachyate Purnasya Purnamad Purnameva Vishyate. So this is a perspective. It is, Sharon says, you are calling it Shunya, but according to our Sanatan ideology, what we understand, from Shunya originated everything. Let's continue. He goes on, but I may be wrong. It again seems possible that the divine can do these things, even change an atom into a mountain. If he does not, he has reasons of his own for not doing it. But then, how is it that you spent so much force on P, but to no avail? Is it that you did not use the supramental force, which alone can work irresistibly without the necessity of adapting itself to existing conditions? So he's trying to understand also about the supramental force, because Sri Aurobindo's ultimate manifestation is a supramental manifestation, that supreme transformation. And this is the stuff that has been dreamt by poets from ancient times. All of them, we want that day, we want that manifestation where we probably will experience that. So that is what Sri Aurobindo is called supramental. And so he said, Acha, you are doing sadhana of supramental. You are connected to that plane, which is the supramental plane. That plane has the ability to manifest without any hurdles. So is it because you did not use supramental force that this worked? This did not work, this particular case of a particular sadhak. Because many people do sadhana and still go astray, no? And when a person goes astray in sadhana, whom do you blame? The guru, the aradhya, or the one who has allowed the lower forces? So it is that. But here they are trying to ask. And look at the freedom. This is which year? 1935. Even today, we don't see that freedom between Guru and Shishya relation. Everybody has this protocol we have to follow. Here, what protocol? Can you define or identify any protocol here in Guru Shishya relationship? No, that is what we call freedom, and this is the freedom which is there always in Sanatan Dharma also. Arjuna had the freedom to say to Krishna in his face, Krishna, so what? Yeah, how do I believe you? You are telling me you taught to this Ikshvaku, you taught to Manu, you talked to, all of this from Vivaswan, all of them. That's absolutely not cognizable to me, because you were born in sunlight. How did you do that? That was the question. So these doubts are all right, because you're allowed to ask questions, because your questions are taking you ahead, as long as the questions are not useless. Because there are some things which take you only in circles, they're not seeking questions. Skeptical questions are of no use in sadhana. They have zero value. But seeking questions are most important. So let's see what Sri Aurobindo says. Sri Aurobindo replies, he says, certainly, supramental force was not the force used in that case. It was mental and spiritual, mental spiritual. In such cases, the object of the force has always the right to say no. I put the force on him because he said he wanted to change, but his vital refused, as it had the right to do. If nothing in him had asked for the change, I would not have tried it, but simply put another force on him for another purpose. So here, means there's also something called sanction of the Adhar, sanction of the Nimitta instrument. Anybody, do you think it's important, this sanction? If yes, why? Anybody? Do you get my point also on the sanction, what I'm saying?
Can you please repeat and elaborate the question?
Okay. So now what Sri Aurobindo said was this particular sadhak had expressed a mental or a thought he had expressed which suggested that he wanted to change. And so Sri Aurobindo put a force which is not the supramental, but which is from the level of the mental and spiritual. But there is a being inside of us which is called the vital, which is also connected with our desires. Say, I want to control I want to change. I want to stop eating chips. But the vital being inside of me is only asking for chips. It will refuse, no? So mind is saying ki, I don't want to eat the chips, but the vital being is telling me, let me eat it. So what this person had expressed in wish, which was on the level, which Sri Aurobindo felt the right answer would be to send us force which is from the mental and spiritual. It's like he didn't use the supramental force because when the supramental force is there, it will block. It will not be blocked by any other thing. It will just make its effect manifest. So that is what he has said. So my question is, how important do you think it is for the sanction or the acceptance of the recipient of the force for effectivity or for transformation? Joyji, is the question clear somewhere? Now?
Question is clear, but now I'm wondering about the answer.
Now you are?
I'm wondering about the answer. So
Wondering
we have
about the
seen
answer.
in the
Huh.
Bhagavad
Ji.
Gita that we need, like, we consider our body as temple because the soul reside in this one, and soul is part and participle of, let's say, Krishna or
Okay.
super god. Fair enough.
Okay.
So we got to have the foundation in the body itself, so that it like whatever Krishna wants, and if we wanna be the medium, we should be able to do that. But to do
Okay.
that, we should also be healthy and able to do all the things. So for that sense, it makes sense that uh, like the foundation is important, but I am
Okay.
not able to correlate that thing with
Mind. Okay. Now you are
that
talking about
question.
the physical. I think you gave the reference to Gita shloka of 13th adhyaya. Idam shariram kaunteya. This is the
Yeah.
kshetra, this is the field. And there are so
Yeah.
many factors in the field. There is something called avyakta, which is not manifest. If you see 13th adhyaya, it's about making avyakta, vyakta with the divine force. What is unmanifest has to manifest. So that entire process is being described. A great, different fields. What are the different parts? Mana, buddhi, ahankar, and so many other things are present in the kshetra. So they are also important parts of what we call the vibhaga of the various kshetras. So the kshetrajna's will has to manifest. If that has to manifest, there has to be some compliance. So now, now this is what is the example that you have given. But if you see in the first adhyaya of the Gita, what happens? Arjuna is receptive to the Gita in the first adhyaya.
No, he's just
He,
venting out all of his depressive
yeah,
statements.
meaning he's not at all receptive. He is not even considering Krishna as a source of authority. Right now, he only is the authority. He is telling about Varna Sankara. He is talking about Kulakshaya. He is talking about Guru Hatya. He is going on and on and on, ranting continuously. To whom? To the great Krishna himself. Not even capable of receiving. I mean, just imagine Sanidhya of Krishna. Krishna Sanidhya should give us Ananda, should give us peace. His name is Rishikesha, means it spreads in every direction is Ananda, that is Krishna. But here is Krishna is Sarathi, means you have a nuclear power source right in front of him. And yet there is no, still what we can say, a LED bulb is also not lighting in that darkness. That much darkness is there, despite having a source which can probably light up the entire planet and maybe more. Why? Because connection is not there, reception is not there, sanction is not there. Gita also, Krishna did not start speaking until Arjuna said, no? Said, Karpanya doshopahata svabhava vrichhami tam dharma sammudhachet yat shreya syananishchitam bruhitan me shishyasteham shadimam tam prapannam. That was in second adhyay. Did he get Vishwarupa Darshan in second adhyay? No. It was the beginning of reception. It happens in stages. Sometimes people receive with the slightest. Sometimes they don't receive at all because they're closed. So the problem with this sadhak was, if he had, you see, there was a dual fight inside of the sadhak only. One side of him wanted to change. So Sri Aurobindo said, "Chalo, theek hai. When you say, means what they say, jahan kam aaye sui, wahan kyun kam aaye talwar. And it's a work of a needle, why should you use a big sword, no? So that's why Sri Aurobindo felt it's not necessary. This thing will do the work. But the vital insight refused. I gave you the example of chips because that's my own example. I wanted to have chips today. So I wanted to sneak and have against Guru's wish. Probably I should ask the sanction, get a sanction, isn't it? But oh, let me go and eat it just like that. So what happened? First action was I wanted to see how am I going to get opposed or what will be my anubhav. Will I eat and then go and tell I have eaten and then I know I'll not get scoldings because it's something he will not scold me, but I wanted to just see. First thing, UPI transaction failed. Once, twice, thrice. So I had to return that one chip packet which I taken, gave it back. So what is this? The divine has already sent a supramental force which is not making my see. Vital has refused to accept a mental thought. The vital has refused. Vital is a desire, no? Desire to eat. That craving has refused to accept my mental thought. But luckily, supramental force is working to take ahead what is the higher will. So that way I am lucky. But here, Sri Aurobindo did not send the supramental at all because probably, now we don't have to correlate this with supramental. I just gave for a simplification. This has nothing, probably this is just a lower level transaction, what I was talking about my case. But in this particular case, Sri Aurobindo has told that he did not send a supramental force. Because if he did, probably then there was no question of this aspect at all. Whether of mental aspect will be, it's like it's great force in front of which nothing can stand in front. Skeptic will fall on the knees when that skeptic gets a sakshatkar, isn't it? Then he'll say, God does not exist, God does not exist. Suddenly, Ma Kali is present, his hands will become like this. Oh my God. Oh my God, the great goddess is in front of me right now, and he feels fear inside, and surrender will happen. That is when full force comes. But it's not required, so the divine does not always send the force. So this is what Sri Aurobindo has done. Then Nirodbaran again has a counter. He says, there may be conditions and qualifications for the success of the divine force. But is it not also true that the divine can rise above all conditions and act and get things done if he wants to? You make a distinction between the yogic force and the divine force. But is not the former an outcome of the latter? Sri Aurobindo replies, of course. But all force is the divine force. It is only the egoism of the individual which takes it as his own. He uses it, but it is not his. This is another beautiful aspect. We have seen a lot of people have openings, have occult openings also, but that does not mean that because they have occult opening means they have understood the occult or how they have to use that opening for what purpose. They think they are using it, but it is not their force. This is what Sri Aurobindo is talking about. He goes on further. He says, by the way, Nirodbaran says, by the way, X did not question the reality of your force for his poetry or other literary activities, but he said he could not admit that all his activities were through and through permeated by your force, because he used to work with great vigor and energy even before he came here. Looks like X has now mellowed down a bit, no? He's probably saying, maybe some force was there, maybe not all of it was not. I'm not denying Sri Aurobindo's force is what his stance has become. Let's see. Sri Aurobindo replies, of course not. All the activities cannot be that. It is only in the yoga realization that one feels all activities to be from the one source, something from above, or the yoga Shakti, or the Guru Shakti, or the cosmic force, or whatever it may be. All names for the same thing in different formations, driving the whole consciousness and being. So this is something. Yoga is what? Yoga is oneness. Oneness of what? Oneness of the seeker with the divine. That time the person is in a laya. In that laya, that person is able to understand. When he gets that feeling, all activities have come. Na ham karta, hari karta. That bhava. I'm not the doer. Or has Adi Shankaracharya in his Shiva Manas Puja has said, Yad yad karma karomi tadakhilam shambho tavaradhanam. Every karma that I am doing is just an aradhana of yours. This is the what we can call the connection. Connection with what? With the Yoga Shakti, with Guru or cosmic force, whatever name you want to call it. 100,000. Will it make a difference calling a name? It will not make a difference. But your connection will make a difference in the manifestation. Connection is pure, the connection is right, the connection is strong, the manifestation is also right then. Let's continue. Nirodbaran goes on. This Guru Shakti also is what? It is a tattva, isn't it? Akhanda mandalakaram vyaptam yena charachara tatpadam darshitam yena tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. This the tattva is there. Where is this tattva? It is everywhere. If we receive it, we can learn. So when you are connected, you feel everything has come from there. Ishavasya sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat. Let's continue. Nirodbaran says, outside life is interdependent on one's own energy and the environmental stimulus, fame, ambition, social stimulations, and one may thrive very well. But when these conditions are removed, his whole energy may be paralyzed unless some higher energy takes him up. Nirodbaran immediately asks, what is one's own energy after all? You mean nature's energy? I just have a feeling, did we come across this before? Or I'm getting a deja vu feeling, I don't know. Just appear like, we didn't read this before, isn't it? This same kind of talk? I do not know. I think something very similar was covered is what I am feeling. Anyway, let's continue. Sorry for the distraction. So what is one's own energy? After all, Sri Aurobindo says, you mean nature's energy in you? It may in new conditions remain extant in some things, develop in others, fail or change in others. One can't make a rule. Rules are rigid. Divine cannot be bound by rules. Krishna has said in the Gita, he is the creator of this Srushti. He is the Prajapati. He has created the Srushti. And in Srushti, Prakriti has created the rules. But he says, I am not bound by the rules of Prakriti. I am free. I am Mukta. And that is what we can also understand, that these rules may be guidelines, but we cannot be making it as so rigid in this adhyatmic aspect as well. He goes on further. Looking at myself, I wonder how a vitalistic man can pass his days in cellular imprisonment without any suffocation. Sri Aurobindo replies, that kind of change happens. Nirodbaran. He goes on. One may say that a tamasic, indolent man can't be activized by the divine to that extent. Again, Sri Aurobindo replies, of course he can. He goes on, am I really wrong? Sri Aurobindo replies, no, but there are many sides or aspects to a question. It's actually important to look at different dimensions, different perspectives, different sides of a question. If you just try to make a binary, you will miss out on a lot of things. There is what we can say, like I told you, I tried to make rigid rules of what is the higher mind, what is exactly the overmind, what is exactly the illumined mind, what is exactly the intuitive mind. All how did I make those rules? My constitution was Sri Aurobindo's writing. So from that I made rigid rules. This is this level. When a higher intuition starts functioning, then the person moves. He moves between levels, then it goes to higher levels. Then after this, then finally I realized this is all nonsense what I have written, because it's not rigid, it is like a spectrum. These are overlapping. There are intersecting planes. Suddenly someone from here can receive a sudden over mental intuition also, who is on a lower plane. Maybe that person will not understand it, but that over mental intuition, he is receptive, that will work through him or her and manifest something. After that person may not even know, I did this. I don't know how it happened, because it came from somewhere and this person was receptive, saw it. Otherwise, it's like how guests come, knock on our door once, twice. You don't open the door. What will the guest do? You'll go away, no? Chalo, theek hai, there's no room, there's nobody here. What if we say Atithi Devo Bhava and our Bhagwan is only waiting as Atithi in our life, coming, knocking on our doors and say, no, not now. I have planned my career. I have some time right now. You don't come right now. You have to come after I get a particular experience in a particular city or particular country or somewhere. I want to gradually go into this state, and then when I reach this level, this is okay. Yathecha se tatha kuru. That's what we can say. One freedom also and a great difficulty also. This we have. It's a paradox. Man has freedom, which should be celebrated, but man has freedom which should not be misused also. So that is a very different line. We have to look at it as it is. Anyway, Nirodbaran asks the question, after the preface, is any chapter likely to follow? Or is it going to be like so many other prefaces? Nothing coming after them. So Shesha is complaining because Sri Aurobindo gave this clue about higher mind, everything. And he said, this is just the preface. Why did he have to say that? Because he knows Dr. Nirodbaran is going to literally interpret it. Now he's literally interpreting the preface, saying, what comes after the preface? He says, nothing comes out, you only keep giving prefaces, your book is never going to get published. You are just writing prefaces only. Sri Aurobindo replies, perhaps in some weeks, or some months, or some centuries, the chapter may follow. So not even chapters, huh? Singular. After, perhaps in some centuries, the chapter may follow. But I use the word preface to characterize the nature of what I had written, not in the prophetic sense. There are two things. Yoga force in its original totality, which is that of the divine spiritual force, always potentially all powerful, and yoga force doing its work under the conditions of the evolutionary world here. It is not a question of can or cannot at all. There's a footnote. See, in an earlier question, K then seems to be right when he says that if one has not got a particular possibility in him, the divine cannot make him develop in that direction. So, in reference to that Shunya, what was talked about, it is not a question of can or cannot at all. All is possible. This is beautiful. This is actually Sri Aurobindo's line also. All is possible when the God touch is there. So here he says all is possible, but all is not licit except by a recognizable process. The divine power itself imposes on its actions limits, processes, obstacles, vicissitudes. It is possible that an ass may be changed into an elephant, but it is not done, at least physically, because of lack of a process. Means you see, this is beautiful, huh? Possible, there is a possibility even for an ass to become an elephant. Can we just pause here? This particular statement, does it connect or resonate, or does it logically fit our understanding right now? Yeah? Anybody? An ass becoming an elephant. How can that even materially be possible is the question, isn't it? And
Divine
Shravanda's
has
yoga
no
is...
foundation.
Sorry, ji?
Divine has no foundation. It's just that it still practices the Prakriti's rules. So, like Krishna has said somewhere, I think in Bhagavad Gita, that he has no foundations. It's just that he likes to play with Prakriti's rule. So, if divine intervention or divine wants anything and everything is possible, it's just that he like the divine wants to follow the rule of the Prakriti. That's why materialistically, technically, it shouldn't be possible that an ass can become a horse or another thing. So maybe that's what it
Okay.
means. Not sure though.
Yeah, but if you see, even in the material, we have very interesting aspects. Like, we have examples of regeneration in animals, isn't it? Have you heard of that? Regeneration?
Yeah,
Yes.
for example, the Shipkali ka pooch.
Okay, the tail of the lizard or the
Mhm.
starfish. Now it
And
regenerates. Yeah.
yeah, and another thing I can think of the evolution. So, for example, like chimpanzees or whatever, they say that we turn into humans, and even some dinosaurs has this like there is a whole
Dinosaurs.
evolution cycle. So
Okay, yeah, they're now in the past. But
yeah.
now, if you see our own, what they call embryogenesis, no, inside of all of us. First are the embryonic cells. These are the cells that hold the potential to become anything. To become anything, meaning this cell can choose. This cell can choose what I want to become. Then they choose. Then one becomes a part of what we call digestive system. Another goes into cardiac system. Another says, I am now epithelial system. We are more important. We are on the surface. Whatever it is. So this is means after that it seems impossible. Scientists are trying to work and unlock the code which will allow regeneration also to be possible. They're studying the animals, and in nature it is present, but it is not present in man. On the very similar hypothesis that if there is a process that is established, then it will be possible. Until the process is established, it will be impossible for us to understand by our mind. Say if there was a time somebody said, say just 200 years back, that Joiji in Germany is going to be talking to Sushrut in Pondicherry. And she's going to see where there is a fan and that fan is not running in Pondicherry from Germany behind Sushrut. Is that Joiji? So, what would you say to such a person? 200 years back, this would
Weirdo,
have been weirdo,
weirdo
first of
or a
all.
bhavishya vakta.
हाँ, भविष्य वक्ता क्या भविष्य वक्ता, भविष्य में फैन होगा ये पता नहीं, तो by dialogue from far it's like this person is speaking nonsense. It's not at all possible, or it's non cognizable to anybody. You cannot, because process has not been established. But if the process is established, that is what our yogis did, a lot of sadhana to do some things which are beyond our understanding. Not that they don't exist. There are so many transformations, physical transformations, material transformations that have taken place. Hatha yogis have given so many examples of how bodies behaving in a most unbelievable manner. Ramalinga Swamigal or Valalar, he has what we call the light body, established that something called dematerialization. It's not understood for us. Maybe we have not understood, but somebody who has gone into that state of consciousness may be able to understand. So, on that ground or on that point only is where we are talking about the possibility. Yes, all is possible when the God touch is there. All is possible, but the process has to be established in our life also. If you look at why are we reading this correspondence, is because we want to bring Sri Aurobindo's principles into our life. We want them to manifest. So Sri Aurobindo or the divine or our Aradhya or Ishta, whatever name we want to call it, their will can function through us. They can transform us into something what we don't even know what we are capable of. They will suddenly manifest. Unknown talents will arise. Unbelievable capacities will manifest. That is what is all of this is supramental manifestation actually. These things happening, these are transformations. A mouse suddenly becoming brave like a lion. How can that happen? With again, it is if the process is established, some force. Ordinary metal can, which is we can say jada, no? Metal is considered jada, least conscious. But we have metals becoming superconductors. They have to have that ferromagnetic trait, whatever aspect, some basics have to, some process has to be there, yes. But transformation can happen, exponential transformation can happen when that process, what is the process? Simplest way, surrender is the process. Sometimes the surrender is a lifelong process, but it's okay, no? Which hurry are we? If we study the Gita, we'll see we are going to be coming again and again. Journey is not going to be just when we are continuing a journey. It's like a relay race. We are only passing the baton to the hero runner who is ourselves. Birth after birth. Sri Aurobindo in his hymn to Durga, he says, birth after birth we come and go, perform your bidding, mother. This birth too we have upheld your promise. And then we'll come back to your home. We come back to your abode. So this aspect, the process is what has to be established. Let's continue. He says, yeah, hold on. Because of lack of process, psychologically analogous changes do take place. I have myself in my time changed cowards into heroes, and that can be done even without yoga shakti, merely by an inner force. Sri Aurobindo says, I have myself brought about that change in so many people. Cowards have become heroes. Sri Aurobindo's words were like fire, that his voice, his word, whatever, it used to be circulated. At that time, there were no apps for circulating messages. They would be circulated in secret, paper printings, and people would meet. People would meet maybe in Ganesh Chaturthi, some function which Lokmanya Tilak had started. That time they would meet and they would pass on, oh, Sri Aurobindo's writing. They would just look at it and, wow, young Subhash Chandra Bose saw that and got so inspired. Then he also got confused. Why has Sri Aurobindo retired? He said now he's not understood or he has gone astray or everybody stay away from yoga sadhana. It makes you redundant. I do not know. I'm not trying to quote what Subhash Chandra Bose has said, but this much has definitely, there is evidence and there has been mention about how a young Subhash Chandra Bose found that inspiration, and Sri Aurobindo was like that. So he said, I didn't have to use Yoga Shakti also. Means there is this force, there is a system, there is a yogic transformative power. I didn't have to use that also. Just with an inner force, with an inner will. How can you say that what is latent in man or what is incurably absent? Big question, isn't it? Can we guarantee? Just because I have failed, can I say I'm never going to be capable of doing something? Just when I was in high school, that was what, 2006, 2007, I felt poets have only one job: trouble the life of innocent school children by appearing in English exams. What is in the mind of the poet? First of all, this poet was a jobless person who didn't have friends, who was visualizing things, and then he's written down just because he saw a spider falling or something somewhere, he's written a poem. That's what all I knew about poetry. So that time, if somebody had come and told me, Kisashrit, you will be writing poems, I'd say I'll stop it. I'm not going to be your friend anymore, or don't talk nonsense. I don't want to see your face again. Because that time it was not understood. It was not, but that does not mean that it is not there at all. Maybe my guru found it and he allowed me. I have my correspondence with Damveji in which he had written, who knows, you may write a book. That day when he told me you may write a book was, oh my God, Damveji has said, what? I will write a book? How will I write a book? That was the biggest question. That was 2011 or something. I did not even think of what is this, because I thought it was absent, but my guru didn't say that it was absent. My guru knew possibility is there, because why did he write? And he did not write the eldest to everybody, because he knows the process, he sees the process, he's able to identify what's going to come. So this process is something which is there. Just because it's not there does not mean, or it is not on the surface, does not mean it is not going to be present at all. Or I don't have anything in me, I am undivine. This was also a thought I had about myself once upon a time. But later on, I learned it's not true. What we see on the surface is not always the truth. That's why we need to have calmness. Because if we are not calm, we are going to be carried away by the winds of what we call rajas or tamas. Sometimes even sattva winds carry us away. Krishna has talked about going to a state which is beyond rajas, tamas, and sattva, which is gunatit. That's where the divine functions. Sometimes you're too good to be true and you're stuck in your own goody goody nature. Or some people say, see, because of this goody nature, people have become like this. They should start have Rajasic force. They should become alpha male or omega female or whatever name. Again, where how many places you keep fighting that battle? What happens when you run out of energy? There, that person will only need tapas to go to sleep. Or does that person sleep in energetic state only? No, it's not like that. It is something which is, it is not, we cannot say. If we see Shervin's question, how can you say what is latent in man or what is incurably absent? I have developed many things by yoga, often even without any will or effort to do so, which were not, which were not in my original nature. I may even say, I may even say that I have transformed my whole nature, and it is in many respects the opposite of what I began with. One of the beautiful aspects of Shervindo is his humility. He talks about himself. Why is he talking about himself? Because he's obsessed with himself? No, because that's the best way he can give us an example. He says, I was like this. Sometimes he has told Shishyas also, when I was very young, I was having fear. No guru will show a weakness of himself, right? Generally. But actually, only a true guru will not feel insecure about talking about his own weakness. Here, Sri Aurobindo is saying, see, I have transformed. What nature you see today is absolutely different from what he was before. I may say that I have transformed my whole nature, and it is in many respects the opposite of what I began with. There can be no question about the power to change, to develop, to awaken faculties that were not there before. This power exists already, but it can be raised to an acme by being lifted to the spiritual plane. The force put on the gentleman you speak of at least made it necessary for him to change. If he remained here, he had no will in the vital to change, and so did not remain here, but went to his fate. So this person started sadhana, then saw And then, no, I'm not getting the results, and I'm going. I need to find a better guru who is more effective, who has greater market value, or whatever thoughts. These are all thoughts which come inside of people's head. This gentleman, if he had stayed, maybe the change would have happened. But he had no will in the vital to change, so did not remain and was taken away by his fate. That is why Daiva is a big problem sometimes. In the Gita also we have seen. But fate is not everything. Fate does not have the power to put a full stop. Maybe it can put a comma or a line break, but not a full stop to a story. There are 4 other factors in the Gita which Krishna talks about, in which yatna, efforts, are also an important aspect. The Sharira also comes into the base, the physical body. Then comes the Karta. Then comes the force which is acting through the Karta. A very talented person, but is not being driven by divine force, but driven by Asuri force. What will happen to such a person? The persons will not be able to alter fate, will be driven by the direction. So let's continue. The rest is for the indefinable future. One day I shall certainly try to explain methodically and by examples what the spiritual force is, how it has worked on the earth plane, how it acts, under what conditions. Conditions not rigidly fixed, but plastic and mutable. So this is what Sri Aurobindo says. He says, when time permits, someday, which may come, he says, in the start only that some months or some centuries, the chapter may come. But that was a joke. He didn't literally mean it. But you see, he wants Arjuna, not Arjuna, he wants Nirodbaran to understand. So he says, I will write with methodical manner, with examples. What are the conditions? And by conditions, it doesn't mean the terms and conditions which you see in contracts. Term 1, term 2, term 3, all these contracts also have loopholes which can be bypassed very easily. These are not conditions which can be bypassed. These are the divine's ones, so they are not rigid. They are plastic. They are mutable. But that's why all factors are there. Nobody in Adhyatma, you see, a person is less rigid. The more the person becomes closer to that high consciousness, the rigidity also starts disappearing. So I think with this, since it's 10 o'clock, we can conclude. If somebody has a question, somebody wishes to ask or share something, you are welcome. Or we can summarize what we saw today and then end with a Shanti mantra. Yes, please.
Question.
Yes,
So
Sri.
right now, when we were seeing that, like you had mentioned that devotee had like left, if he had stayed, maybe something else might have happened. And then you made a statement that sometimes Dev is also a problem. What does it mean? And then you
So
gave
Daiva is
examples.
so yes, because Daiva is what it is, like a fate. Now see, some people are born, no? Some people are born with a silver spoon, isn't it? All are not born with the same status, isn't it? So
So
somebody is
what does
born with
Dev
an
means?
Daiva means
What does
fate. In
Dev means?
Sanskrit, Daiva means
Okay,
fate.
okay.
Means
Okay,
there's
understood.
something fate. There's something called fate, and there is something in Sanskrit. The word Daiva means fate. It is not to be mistaken with Deva or God.
Okay.
And there's something called destiny. You can write your destiny when the canvas is manufactured by the divine. The pen in your hand is also the divine one, and then the divine is also using you with the ideas and giving you the direction. Then destiny is written by you with the help of the divine. But otherwise, if you reject the divine, then you will have to say, unfortunately, you are doomed by fate, because you are rejecting the divine only. Until that happens, you are bound. When we connect with the divine, when the divine starts using you, then the fate can be changed. According to my Patrika, according to astrology, I'm supposed to be far away from my parents. One way it is true. But by God's grace, by Guru Krupa, my parents are 5 minutes away from me. So if they need something, I can always attend to it. But that is also true that last 14 years I've been away from my parents. I've not been staying in the same home despite being in the same city. So one will say that is fate, isn't it? But it's not. Fate is like not such a bad thing. I'm living with my guru and I'm having my parents also just anytime they need, I can go there. So it is what we can say. Somewhere Guru Krupa has changed, isn't it? Given me a different destiny, isn't it? Something else was probably written, but something else happened. So it's not exactly rigidly we can say ki how is it, what is the condition in which this is destiny, this is fate, or it's like he who chooses the divine, they say is chosen by the divine only. So then again comes the question ki how do you identify? Well, it's not how you identify, it's just how you become one with the divine by surrendering. If that happens, you don't have to worry about anything else. I think with this, I think Joyji, is your question answered though?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. All right. So I think with this we can conclude if there are no questions. Bhavna ji, Anirudh ji, or Chitra ji, anything you wish to ask or add or share, or otherwise we summarize. So far, Chitra ji has been leading us with the summaries. Anybody else wishes to try, you are welcome. Or if everybody has got used to Chitra ji's summaries, we can then go ahead. Yes, please.
There's
Okay.
one thing that I just wanted to share. This was told to me by Chitra ma'am again. So when you read about this line, I just related to that. So there can be no question about the power to change, to develop, to awaken faculties that were not there before. This power exists already.
Hmm.
So she told me that Damleji says that nobody can teach anything to anybody. It's all
Huh.
inside and it just
Huh.
manifests at the right time. So
Yeah.
that's something I could relate to that. So I just wanted to share
Ji,
that.
ji. Yeah, that's beautifully said. Yes, actually, that is one of the integral education is about that. Nobody can teach anything to anybody. You create the atmosphere. The soul is ready. The Jivatman is already enrolled in the University of Srishti. Which other certification the Jivatman needs to grow and learn? So the atmosphere is there in the teaching. This is actually specifically for the Learning Through Nature program for children. We don't want the teachers to suddenly become, I'm not teaching, I'm training, and the bhav comes of karta bhav. Let the karta is the doer, no, is the divine, no. So the divine will do that. So all you have to is see. Nobody can teach anything. I can introduce this concept, and it will happen. So something like that. If we are ready, we will be taught, and taken ahead. As Sant Tukaram Maharaj had beautifully said, "Jethe zato tethe tu माझा संगाती." Wherever I go, you are my companion. Talevisi Hati Dharuniya. You're holding my hand and going. Anirudh had come to Pondicherry just last week. That's how I came to know him. So he wanted to just experience, and he got the experience that throughout the time he was staying that the divine is leading. Well, this is something. This is something which we should experience, and that is a joy, and that is an experience which each and every one of us must have. Whether everyone can have, yes, everyone can have it, but they're not ready, or they for some conditions like not now. Krishna after marriage, Krishna after promotion, Krishna after I have two children, Krishna after this happens, after that happens, Krishna after I get my favorite dress, then you start working. Like that, we keep delaying and life passes away in a flash. Instead, we open up, we don't become rigid, we are ready, we are what we can say plastic for what? To be molded. So, yes, with this we conclude today. Yes, Chitraji, if you can summarize, looking forward. Yes.
Yeah. So today's conversation started where Dr. Nirodbaran asks that does the divine has any conditions despite being omnipotent and independent of all conditions? So does the receiver need to have some kind of talent to receive this? So it's the mostly the questions were around that. The regarding talent, we had also seen in the previous classes where Sri Aurobindo says that he developed a thing for painting after by the grace of something we had.
Not painting, but art. Like understanding
Okay.
art. Understanding art. Sri Aurobindo himself did not, I don't think, do too much of painting. But the art understanding capacity was
Yeah.
there, which Sri Aurobindo said manifested later.
So that was something that I could recollect. So, and I also think that one must at least try to aspire, because aspiration is something that's also important. This is just my interpretation.
Yeah,
So
perfect
when
one.
yeah, and when both these are there, true surrender happens, and then grace comes. So this is what I felt. So I just thought of sharing this. And then there was a question on the force on a sadhak that did not work. And the explanation for this was because Sri Aurobindo felt that he did not find the necessity for using the supramental force, and he used what seems to be coming from the mental and spiritual plane of force. And since the vital of the sadhak rejected that, that force didn't seem to have worked. And we also saw that all force is actually the divine force. It is the ego in a person that makes him assume that it is his, and he uses it, but he assumes that it is his force. And all is possible until a process is found out to manifest that possibility. So, I mean, until a process to manifest the same is established. And he gives, Sri Aurobindo gives examples of how his focus and forces have transformed the nature of certain people, and who were not having the strength or courage before to develop that. And he also gives his own example of how his nature has changed. So I think these were the important things that we saw.
Yes, Chitraji, thank you. This aspect of forces and processes, and there's a beautiful book by Sri Aurobindo called The Mother. If you can, it's a small one, beautiful book, which very revered sadhak, Dr. Sampananda Mishra, also a great Sanskrit scholar. He says you want to understand Veda, you read this book first. Because now here also, if you want to understand the forces, the working of the forces or the divine in the world, that's a beautiful book to study. And I got a chance to read about it because I got invited to a conference, which probably next week we may not have our session. It may not have it on Sunday. We may have it either earlier, or then we'll have it on a Monday or something, depending. We'll just figure that out. But there also how Mahasaraswati, Mahalakshmi, Mahakali, Maheshwari, all these forces, how these gods and their powers, no, of the Devi, how they operate. Very beautifully, very practically is written. Means how Mahasaraswati is closest to all of us. How she's working with our limitations, how she's working through our imperfections. She's trying to, manifest and from the level of mind, spiritual, mental, what we can say, slightly over mental, or suddenly from somewhere. How at different points. Now, with supramental force, we saw that nothing can stop when supramental force comes. Just like that, Mahakali's force is also like that. Strong. All hurdles are obliterated in that presence. That's Mahakali. Mahalakshmi is again the force of harmony, beauty, how it manifests. That is also there. And Maheshwari is too vast to be understood by man. Too vast. So something like that. These are the ways. And best would be is, as I think everybody here agrees or understand, we are all on that point, is that we have understood this much, that whether or not we understand completely the divine is a different thing. We must understand that our surrender should be complete. No part of surrender should be half, what we can say, somewhere vital rejections should not happen. Otherwise, we'll only suffer. No? Is divine going to suffer? No. Divine will function. Arjuna is not so important for Krishna as much as how important Krishna is for Arjuna. Krishna would have had a new Gita with somebody else if it was not Arjuna. So it's not that he was dependent. God is not dependent on us. but we must realize how dependent we are. And I think that's fine, isn't it? Somebody will say it should be an equal relationship. No, it is not. That is what love is also about. It is always one directional, not expecting anything in return, completely offering. Well, that is it. So we should love the divine, we should surrender to the divine and allow the divine to manifest his will. So with this, let us conclude with the Shanti Mantra. Looking forward, I will let you know about the next session if I can make that happen on 30th, or we'll make it one day before or after. Actually, I'm getting a chance to speak, and it's only 15 minutes I'll be talking, but for that 15 minutes, I'll have to do some preparation and traveling a lot. So, all right, Hari Om, Namaskar. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, सर्वे सन्तु निरामया, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्. हरि ओम तत्सत्. कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं. पुनर्मिलामः. Namaste. Hari Om. We conclude this session. If no queries of that, let's conclude. We'll wrap it up. Yes. Namaste.